So we're back, and we'll edit this back in. So Bin Laden's family gave DNA.
They gave DNA, and the doctor had collected DNA from what turned out to be Bin Laden's children. Bin Laden had 4 wives. He had children that ranged in age from like 6 all the way up into their 40s. And so the CIA was able to confirm that these were Bin Laden's children. They lived in the house with a 20-foot wall. Therefore, the man walking in circles in the backyard was most likely Osama bin Laden.
What was because you were out of the CIA at that time, but you were working for like Fox News as a contributor or ABC.
Yeah.
And you knew that we sent a doctor over and...
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian Ross called me that night, and he said, something's going on at the White House. I said, like...
Oh, the day that they... Okay.
Yeah. I said, like what? He said, I don't know, that's why I'm calling you. He said, the president just called a press conference for 10 o'clock. And I said, at night? And he said, yeah. I said, they got bin Laden. He said, that's why I was calling. Do you think that's what this would be? I said, yeah. They would not call a press conference for anybody beneath bin Laden. This has to be about bin Laden. And so I went into the studio. I got dressed and went into the studio waiting for the story to break. And then it broke. And I was on all night long. I left the studio 7 o'clock the next morning, slept for a few hours, and then went back to the studio again.
Real quick, and then we'll transit. Did the Pakistanians, they knew he was there?
You know, I'm of the belief that it would have been impossible for the most wanted man in the world to live a half a mile from the Pakistani version of West Point. Abbottabad is named after a British major named Abbott. Right?
Okay.
He was there. He was the first military trainer in Pakistan when Pakistan became a country in 1947. So the whole city of Abbottabad is just military. Right.
And it's a nice city.
It's a nice city. It's not like the shitholes, you know, that people see on television. Karachi, Lahore, Faisalabad,
yeah.
Peshawar. It's a nice place. And it's where the leaders of the Pakistani military all live. And so, yeah, I think it would have been impossible for them not to know that he was there.
What do you think the mood was like at the CIA when we got him?
Jubilation.
Yes. Yeah. Promotions. But did you know?
Promotions, medals, yeah.
I'm curious. Nobody asked this question. Nobody. Well, if they do, where did the lady get to? The redheaded lady. You know, no, I've Googled. Some names have popped up. And I fucking forget, you know, because you can... Now, the one late... Now, did you see the Get Bin Laden documentary?
Yeah.
There was a lady that was on there, but they blackened her face out. Now, I'm not...
Which is hilarious.
I'm not the smartest fucking... You know, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I would bet on Kalashi, hey, if was that the head of the CIA that found Bin Laden, I would lay 100 on it that was her, and she was talking, and was that her? Yeah. You know,
yeah.
And then there was a lady with the curly hair that's kind of like heavier set. Did you have any experiences with her?
Yeah.
All nice girls?
No.
No?
No, they were all demons.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the one was against torture. The one, you know, was crying tears and whatnot. And because they were talking about Jennifer Matthews, who died. And I don't mean no disrespect, but I've listened to not just you, but Rob, the guy that, you know, supposedly shot Bin Laden,
right.
Said that lady was fucking gonna get people killed. The third commander at SEAL Team 6 said, stay the fuck away from her, she will get you killed.
The CIA killed Jennifer. And I'll tell you how.
I want to ask, okay.
What I mean by that.
With Al Belloway?
We've got rules.
Okay.
We've got rules for promotion at the CIA. When you want to be promoted from GS-15, which is the highest level in the general services scale, to the senior intelligence service, right? Like the directors.
What's the bump, if you don't mind me asking, in pay from G15 to senior intelligence?
G15 to SIS is probably 25 grand.
Okay, so decent, yeah.
But if you're in the senior intelligence service, you also get these corporate style bonuses.
Okay.
Every year that the rest of us don't get. So if you want to be eligible for promotion from GS15 to SIS1, you have to have done at least one tour in another directorate. The CIA has 4 directorates: operations, intelligence, science and technology, and administration. And you have to have done a tour in the policy community, which is either state or DOD.
Okay.
Okay? So Jennifer was an analyst. She was in the Directorate of Intelligence. She had done a policy tour at the State Department, but she needed an operational assignment
to check the box.
To check the box. So they said, Jennifer, do you want to be chief of base host? And she's like, absolutely yes.
It's a dangerous place, right?
It's a very dangerous place. It's out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Afghanistan. And she did not have the time to go through the operational training or the security training. And they said, don't worry about that. You're going to be fine. Just go out there and, let's do it. Well, that was an incredible disservice. She didn't know anything about recruiting spies to steal secrets. She didn't know anything about keeping her people safe. There were more than a dozen people working for her. She didn't know anything about keeping herself safe. She had never been operational before. And so at the same time that Jennifer was going out to host, a spy was walking into the American consulate in Istanbul. And he said, I'm Jordanian, I'm a doctor, but more importantly, I am Osama bin Laden's personal doctor.
Was that true?
Yes. This was a major break in the case.
Okay.
So he did not want to be he did not want to be debriefed in Istanbul. He said, I have to go back to Jordan, but then I'm on my way back to Afghanistan because bin Laden has requested that I be back. We're like, okay, we'll meet you in Afghanistan. Come to the base, I think it was called Chapman, and we'll talk to you there. Okay. Red flags with neon lights should have been going.
Why is this guy got to go back? Why wouldn't he debrief there? I mean, yeah.
Why wasn't he polygraphed?
Yeah.
Why wasn't he surveilled?
Surveilled.
Right? Why couldn't he meet in Istanbul? Why couldn't he meet in Amman? If he's Jordanian and his family's Jordanian, why did he have to meet in Khost? Even if he had to go back to Afghanistan, why couldn't he meet inside the U.S. Embassy in Kabul? So Jennifer, God bless her, Jennifer was the only one of those. It was this clique of 5 women in the counterterrorism center. She was the only one that I didn't hate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The others were bloodthirsty monsters, including the redheaded devil.
Well, you don't call somebody the redheaded devil for shits and giggles. Pardon my French.
She was a monster. Wow. So Jennifer, because she was a sweet lady, realized as she's going through the file that this doctor, the day that he's coming to host, it happens to be his birthday. So she bakes him a cake. And she tells everybody in the base, hey, listen, let's meet him at his car and we'll present him with the cake and we'll sing happy birthday to him. Well, first of all, nobody has frisked the guy. Secondly, the car pulls up outside the hard line. And
what is the hard line for our viewers that don't know?
The hard line is the area that's fortified, right? We've got sandbags, we've got, guns, we have bulletproof glass, we have, steel doors to protect you. She takes everybody outside the hard line, past the metal detector, and it didn't strike anybody as odd that when he got out of the car, number one, he was wearing winter clothes.
And it was summer?
It was hot.
Okay.
The winter clothes were to conceal the bomb that he had strapped on himself. And they didn't think it was odd that when he got out of the car, he was quietly praying under his breath. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah. Why are you praying? And then when she got everybody right up to him to sing happy birthday, he blew himself up. And he killed Jennifer and 6 other officers. It was the deadliest day in the history of the CIA.
On that documentary that they did, they actually played a video. I don't know if it was an actor or if it was the real guy, showing him meeting with video saying he was going to, meet the U.S. and they thought that he was a friendly, but this is not the watch, this is detonator. They showed that in the documentary. And so he was a double agent, correct?
Yeah, he was a double agent.
And just went bad, right? I'm assuming.
I wouldn't even say it went bad. I think that the point from the beginning was to kill as many CIA people as possible.
That was set out, and they come up with this plan. Hey, you're the doctor.
Yep.
You can go. Yeah, of course, because we wanted bin Laden so bad. We would do. She probably thought, oh, if this guy is who he says he is, that's metals.
She's going to end up being the director of the CIA
Hey.
if this guy is who he says.
Yeah, she's going right to the top.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
And
sat next to Jennifer. She was a very sweet person. She was working with some sharks, and they didn't give a shit about her safety. Not at all.
wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has a family. I mean, I don't know.
The best of my recollection, she had 3 daughters.
She had kids, a husband, and you know, and I don't know. Like I said, the documentary's on Netflix, you know, and because it's become a moneymaker. Everybody that was on that documentary had a feature them in, you know, Zero Dark 30, which, you know, there's actually something interesting, and then we'll switch to another topic. But there was a guy, and I'll say his name because he was out on Sean Ryan's show, Matt Bissonnette. Now, he was on 60 Minutes, and supposedly he killed bin Laden.
There are 3 different.
And he was awesome. I don't know who the other guy is. I only know the Rob O'Neill. I mean,
Rob O'Neill's made a living. Just
a living.
shit. Yeah.
I have a book, The Operator. I mean, hey, I bought it and said, hey, you know, pay $50 or, you know, hey, whatever, you know. And Bissonnette, you know, talks about how after the bin Laden mission, they went and there was Leon Panetta, and I forget that the director and producer of Zero Dark 30.
Yeah.
And Leon Panetta's like, hey, this is so and so.
I've written about this.
He
outed them.
He's going to make you faint. They're going to make you faint. Yeah. I guess they gave him a list of their name. They actually
He read the list of names to a group of unclassified audience members.
And gave them like the mock-up. They had the mock-up, the scale.
Classified mock-up.
Classified
I
mock-up.
wrote an op-ed for the Los Angeles Times.
Where would I find that at? If I'm
It's still on the Times
okay,
website.
would love to read it.
And I was like, why isn't Leon Panetta in prison?
Yeah.
Right? This is a violation of the Espionage Act.
Yeah.
You can't just talk about this stuff. It's above top secret.
And that made being in the military, which I think, hey, we live in the greatest country ever. And I respect people that serve this country. It made the special forces look real sexy. See, next thing you know, there's a fucking SEAL Team 6 show on CBS where they're using Navy SEALs to consult on the show.
See, and their identities are supposed to be perpetually classified.
In
Not now. Everybody's making money writing books.
It's like I said about the guy that wrote Kill Bin Laden. He used a pen name and whatnot. I guess that was what you were supposed to do. But, you know, if you get a chance, watch the interview with Bissonnette and Sean Ryan, because he was ousted by the teams.
Oh, yeah.
Was ousted.
They were furious.
He wrote a book the same as Rob O'Neill, but I guess he didn't get bankrupted the guy.
Yeah.
You know, bankrupted the guy. And why would they do that? If they let the one guy do it but not the other, why would they?
I have no idea.
So, transitioning out of bin Laden, you are famous for the capture of Abu Zubaydah. So on the the org chart, you have bin Laden. Where was Abu Zubaydah?
You see,
That's what I want to transition into.
That's kind of the thing.
Everybody else transitions into Zubaydah to bin Laden. I'm going to do it reverse engineer.
We believed at the time that Abu Zubaydah was the number 3 in Al Qaeda.
Okay.
He wasn't.
Really?
He never joined Al Qaeda. He was a bad guy. He had created Al Qaeda's safe house in Peshawar, Pakistan, the House of Martyrs. He had created and staffed the 2 training camps in southern Afghanistan. He was kind of a logistician. Like if you were tired of fighting and wanted to go home, he would get you a passport and a ticket and send you home. If you were brand new, you just arrived and you wanted to go fight, he'd get you across the mountains into Afghanistan to be trained. So he was a bad guy, but he had never pledged fealty to Osama bin Laden, and he had never joined Al Qaeda.
Had he ever met bin Laden?
No.
And how the hell did he get slid across your desk? If you can talk about that.
In retrospect, I wrote a book about it with Joe Hickman.
Who was Joe Hickman?
Joe Hickman was a guy in the Army who had guarded Abu Zubaydah at
Guantanamo? Okay.
So I wrote half the book, he wrote the other half the book, and it's 2 whistleblowers' accounts of, blah, blah, blah. So what really put us on the wrong track with Abu Zubaydah is that Abu Zubaydah had a first cousin who was also named Abu Zubaydah.
Really?
And we're getting these intelligence reports like, oh my God, Abu Zubaydah's in Pakistan. He's going to do this this operation. And then it's like, holy shit, Abu Zubaydah's in Jordan. He's going to do this operation. Oh my God, Abu Zubaydah's in Montana. Oh my God, Abu Zubaydah's in Saudi Arabia. We didn't know there were two Abu Zubaydahs. And I remember saying to a colleague of mine, this Abu Zubaydah, he's like some kind of terrorist Superman. He's everywhere. We just didn't know there were two of them, not one. And then as soon as we caught Abu Zubaydah in Faisalabad, his cousin, who was in Montana,
Really was it?
vanished.
Have they ever found him?
We never found him.
When you're going after Abu Zubaydah, you land in Pakistan. What? Being a kid from Western Pennsylvania who dreamed of being a spy in the Middle East, when you get there and they say hey, you need to was your mission capture Abu Zubaydah or capture as many Al Qaeda whatever?
Yeah, we knew we were going to catch a lot of people.
Yeah.
In this series of raids, he was by far the most important target. In fact, he was the very first what we called HVT, high value target, in the war on terror. And so as soon as we got word that he was somewhere in Pakistan and we had to catch him, we focused on him, thinking whoever else we get, it's going to be gravy. But we had to get him because we thought if we can get him, we had already killed the number 3 in Al Qaeda. That was Mohammed Atef. We bombed a house that he was hiding in Tora Bora. Oddly enough, when we bombed the house, it splintered the dining room table and a chunk of wood went through his neck and killed him. So if Abu Zubaydah had been the number 3, we figured, well, he's only been the number 3 since October. But he would have been instrumental in the planning of 9/11. He wasn't. Now, he gave us deep, actionable intelligence later on to the FBI. Intelligence that saved American lives.
That you can't talk about.
Oh, no, I can tell you exactly what it was.
Okay, what if you don't mind me asking?
He gave us, first of all, the Al Qaeda wiring diagram. Mm-hmm. We had no idea how Al Qaeda was structured. We knew Bin Laden was at the top, Zawahiri was number 2, number 3 was vacant, constantly changing person. But then under that, we knew that there were these cells. There's Berlin and Kuala Lumpur and Bangkok, and we knew that there was Al Qaeda all over the place. But we didn't know how they operated, or even whether they were in communication with one another. So he described it to us. So, for example, this is an example I use all the time. Ali Soufan, the FBI interrogator.
He was on that doc.
Ali's a great guy.
Okay. Because I know you don't like the FBI.
I don't like that, but I love Ali Soufan.
Okay.
He did great work. So, Ali would ask him, if you were going to do an operation in Dusseldorf, how would you do that? And Abu Zubaydah would say, well, I know this guy, Mohammed, and he's the cell leader, and here's his phone number. And he's got a friend, Abdullah, and Abdullah has access to weapons. And here's Abdullah's email address. And Abdullah's got a cousin, Rashid, and Rashid has access to detonators. And then Rashid's brother-in-law, whatever. So then we could call the Germans and say, listen, you have a serious problem in Dusseldorf. Here's who you need to wrap up. And then they bust down the door and they grab everybody, and there's no more Al Qaeda cell in Dusseldorf. So that was the first thing that he did for us. The second thing he did for us, we knew that there was a very bad guy out there who went by the name Mukhtar. We knew from 1996 that Mukhtar was trying to come up with a plan to use aircraft as missiles.
Okay.
In the Philippines. It was called the Bojinka operation. The idea was to hijack 14 747s from Manila Airport, fly them across the Pacific, and fly them into buildings all up and down the west coast of the United States. He has the plans all laid out on a table, and he decides to go out and have lunch. While he's out at lunch, the cleaning lady comes to clean the apartment. She looks at all this and she says, this looks like a terrorist attack. I better call the police. She calls the cops. The Manila police come, they look at it and they said, this looks like a terrorist attack. We better call the Philippine Intelligence Service. They come and they said, oh, this looks like a terrorist attack. We better call the CIA. So the CIA came and they're like, yeah, this is a terrorist attack being planned against the Western United States. By then, Mukhtar was in the wind.
When he left for lunch, never came back.
Never came back.
I think he was alerted, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that all these people are in his apartment.
Yeah.
So Ali asked him, what about Mukhtar? We know this guy. He wanted to use planes as missiles, just like they did on 9/11. And Abu Zubaydah laughed at him and said, you don't know who Mukhtar is? And he said, no. And he said, Mukhtar's name is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. We had never heard that name before. And so we start doing our research. Who is this guy, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? This guy graduated from North Carolina State University.
He was here in the States.
Yeah.
And
He came here as an exchange student. He stayed with an American family, went to North Carolina State, and just came to hate the United States so much.
do we know why?
Right.
Do we know what his idea?
You know, it was this warped view of Islam and what Islam should be. The bottom line for all these guys is the closeness of U.S. relations with Israel.
They hate,
Abu
yeah.
Zubaydah told me that what did it for him, what made him go from just some guy, you know, who might throw a rock during a demonstration to, you know, trying to assist the most dangerous terrorist group in the world, was watching a news report that showed an Israeli soldier with his boot on the neck of a Palestinian grandmother. And he decided, these Jews have to die. But that's the whole basis of this.
Well, speaking of KSM, were you at the agency when we caught him?
Yeah.
Were you a part of that?
No, I had just moved up to the deputy director's office, but
I wanted to ask, how did we find KSM intelligence? I'm assuming
human source intelligence.
not torture.
No. Good.
Because we got him in Pakistan too.
Yeah, he was in Rawalpindi.
Okay, and how long was he on the run for? Because he was after Abu Zubaydah, correct?
Yeah. We caught Abu Zubaydah in March of 2002, and we caught KSM, I'm going to say it was August of 2002.
Okay.
Or September, something like that. See, but listen, if you boil down the job of the CIA to its simplest form, the mission of the CIA is to recruit spies to steal secrets, and then to analyze those secrets so that the policymaker can make the best informed policy. It's really that simple. You can't rely on NSA to just grab everybody's phone calls out of the air and tell you where the bad guys are. You have to have a human source that's in the meeting. That's the only way that you can destroy these groups.
And how do you find source? What to find a source on KSM, or because I'm sure they're radicals. What are they looking for? A way out normally, or they come to that some of that like, hey, this isn't right. They have that awakening.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, most of the time, it's cash on the barrelhead.
Okay.
You know, we had a $10 million bounty on Abu Zubaydah.
Mm-hmm.
$10 million in cash is very heavy.
Very heavy.
And it takes multiple,
Yeah, I couldn't lift
large
it.
gym bags.
Yeah.
And we were very happy to deliver the money. There was $25 million on KSM. Very happy to give the guys money.
Gets delivered right away.
Immediately. And if necessary, along with resettlement.
And relocating ID.
Whatever they need to keep the guys safe.
Wow. And they'll do that for the rest of the guy's life?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll set him up. And I mean, it's not unusual for us to say, all right, what country do you want to live in? Just name the country. And then we do it. Mm-hmm.
Even if they said the States, you would really...
Ahlan sahlan.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really crazy. When you were at the agency, before you went to 9/11, and I wanted to talk to that, you spent some time in other Middle Eastern countries, and
A lot of it.
we're doing this interview. what was the, before that, were you doing any operations that got the blood flowing, like Abu Zubaydah, or doing interesting stuff, or were you doing more analysis? And
Oh no, I mean, my first couple of tours, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, those were analytic tours. And actually, Bahrain, I was actually seconded to the State Department, so it was a legit State Department job. It was in the middle of '97 that I switched to counterterrorism operations. So I had to go through the operational training first. And because I was already mid-career, I didn't have to start at the beginning with what we call CIA 101.
Okay.
I was already there for 7.5 years. I knew what the CIA did. And so I was able to skip all that silly entry-level stuff and go straight to operations. Instead of being trained for 18 months, I was trained for 6 months.
Okay.
And then they mix it up between operational training, weapons, explosives, and counterterrorism driving. And then surveillance and surveillance detection, you do a lot of that as well. I actually became a surveillance instructor at the agency.
Any tips for surveillance? I mean, how do you know if, like, because, I've all, my wife will tell you, I call it her spidey senses. And, I've often wondered, like, hey, how do you tell if you're actually being followed or surveilled by somebody?
Oh, no, it's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to constantly be aware of your surroundings, constantly scan your side view, rear view mirrors. And there's a definition, a formal definition of surveillance. It's multiple sightings at time and distance.
Okay.
So if you see the same people at different times of the day, at different locations, you're under surveillance.
You're under surveillance. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So after '97, then I went on my first operational tour to Athens in '98. I was there for 2 years, went back to headquarters, then back to the Middle East to Abu Dhabi, and then back to headquarters for 9/11.
Abu Dhabi, what's that like? It's beautiful.
Paradise.
It's beautiful, right?
It's magnificent.
Peaceful country?
Oh, very peaceful. I actually prefer Abu Dhabi to Dubai. Everybody raves about Dubai. Yeah, and Dubai is great. But Abu Dhabi has culture where Dubai doesn't. I like Doha a lot too, the capital of Qatar.
Yeah, because I'm a big UFC fan, and they had Fight Island, and was watching. I was like, we need to go to Dubai, maybe someday.
It is magnificent, and you can fly direct nonstop from DC, from New York, from Chicago.
And they're Americanized in a way.
Very much so.
Very
much so.
Is that a Muslim country still?
Yeah.
Are the women walking around? Is that what?
Mostly not. No.
Okay.
The police cars are Lamborghinis.
Ain't that crazy?
It's nuts.
Isn't that crazy? The money that they have. So you're at the CIA. 9/11 happens. You leave the CIA, and I want to talk about, so what started your trials? Not, the trial, but what started the CIA coming after you?
My tribulations.
Your tribulations, yeah.
When I got back from Pakistan, I was asked if I wanted to be trained in the torture techniques. I was one of 14 people approached. I was the only one who said no.
Wow.
I believed it was illegal, clearly, obviously illegal. I don't care what the White House said. It was illegal.
Was the redheaded devil trained in the torture program?
She was the
founder,
creator of the torture program.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I objected to it internally. I said, this is immoral, it's illegal, it's unethical. We shouldn't be in the practice of torturing people. And in retrospect, I was right. That's why literally nobody has been brought to justice. Because everything they said as a result of torture, and not a word of it can be used against them in court.
Are you serious?
None of them
that's right. KSM, Abu Zubaydah, and we'll get to, because I know, Mom, because I think you were talking to Abu Zubaydah's attorney, or had him on your podcast, or whatnot.
Yeah.
Will those guys ever be sentenced?
Never. They'll never be sentenced because they can never be charged with a crime.
Will they ever get out? No.
Abu Zubaydah might. At the very end of the Biden administration, they were pretty deep in talks to release him. Finally acknowledging that he was just the wrong guy. He's been in prison for 23 years. Wow. And the only thing that they were waiting on was they were trying to find a country that would accept him. And then Trump won. And so 4 more years, he's just going to have to sit it out and wait.
What's his day-to-day life like now? do you think?
It's like Groundhog Day. There's no more torture going on at Guantanamo, but it's just like Groundhog Day. You know, one funny thing was when it appeared that a deal was going to be made, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Ramzi bin Ashib, Ahmar al-Baluch, there might have been one more. They were going to plead guilty to
War crimes?
terrorism.
Terrorism.
Yep. And terrorism and conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. And they were going to agree to life without parole. So the government took the death penalty off the table. And the only thing that they asked was if they could stay in Guantanamo because the weather's so good. They didn't want to go to the Supermax in Florence, Colorado. And then Biden's Secretary of Defense threw the whole deal out.
Why do you think that is?
Because he wasn't a part of the negotiations. And he was pissed off that he didn't get to say what their
Yay,
punishment
nay.
was.
Okay.
Yeah. So he threw it out. The attorneys sued, and the attorneys lost. So now there's no deal. We're back to square one. We're back to where we were in 2002.
And who's paying to house them at Guantanamo Bay? We are.
Yeah, of course.
How many prisoners are at Guantanamo Bay?
I think it's down to like 34, and about half of them are awaiting resettlement.
Yeah.
Just waiting for other countries to accept them.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think these guys would recommit?
No.
KSM, you don't think if we...
at the max, we had over 700, and almost every single one of them was innocent of any crime.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you see, let's say you and I live in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and I borrow money from you. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to pay you back. So I call the Americans. I say, hey, this guy over here, Al-Qaeda. They grab you. We never see you again. And I don't have to pay back that loan.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And we just wanted a pound of flesh.
Mm-hmm. They were innocent. So most have been released. There are about 17 who will never be released. Even in the Senate torture report, in one of the footnotes, it said that Abu Zubaydah shall never be released, ever. He shall never be able to speak to the media. And when he dies, he'll be cremated and his ashes will be thrown into the Caribbean.
Why don't they want him talking to the media?
Because we torture.
Well, yeah, no, I'm being sarcastic.
He drew pictures of himself being tortured, and they classified the pictures top secret. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard stories about putting cockroaches and a diaper on him and put him in a coffin and...
For weeks. Just dump cockroaches.
I just don't think how anybody could think you would get somebody that... I would tell you what the fuck ever you wanted to hear just to make it stop.
Yeah.
I mean...
And that's what he did. That's why most of the information that he gave after Ali Safan was all nonsense.
What was the other guy involved in the torture program from the CIA? Not John Brennan. Jose or...
Jose Rodriguez.
Jose. What's that guy? He retired from the CIA, decorated, right?
He lives down in St. Augustine, Florida, next to Rick Prado, who was the head of the Special Activities Division. They live literally next door to each other. And he's living fat and happy on his $6
They'll
million
never be brought to justice.
No, never. No,
Wow.
will be.
But we all, and I'm not making this about religion, I'm a Catholic, but we all will face judgment someday.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, of whatever you believe.
Sure we will. I believe that Jose Rodriguez is a psychopath.
Psychopath?
If you look at the events that took place over the course of his career, he was on the wrong side of the issue dozens of times, reprimanded countless times, and then responsible for the torture program. And he wants America to think that he's some kind of hero.
Absolutely. So you do an interview with Brian Ross, right? And when you get called for that interview, or he says you tortured Abu Zubaydah, what made you agree to talk to him without
The reason why I agreed to talk to Brian Ross, and I made a mistake. I made a couple of mistakes. One, I didn't have my attorney with me. I would never do that again. Mm-hmm. But two, the information that I had been given at the agency was also wrong. It was that Abu Zubaydah had been waterboarded once, and he broke. He wasn't waterboarded once. He was waterboarded 83 times. So I was wrong about that. But that was the lie that was circulating among us. But I actually wasn't going to talk to Brian. And then in the days after he called me, President Bush gave a press conference. And one of the reporters asked him about torture. And he looks in the camera and he goes, "We do not torture." I said to my wife, "He's a bald-faced liar. Just look at the American people in the eye, lying." And then a couple of days later, it was a Friday, he walks out the south portico of the White House, the back door of the White House, to walk to the helicopter and fly to Camp David. And a reporter shouts a question at him. And he turns and he says, "Well, if there is torture, it's because of a rogue CIA officer." I said to my wife, "Brian Ross's sources at the White House, and they're going to try to pin this on me. I'm going to defend myself." And so I decided I'd give Brian Ross his interview and I would just simply tell the truth. And that's what I did.
And after that, you get a job working for John Kerry, which you talk about. I mean, and what is, before we're getting to this, what is Kerry like? You've been around all these politicians.
Yeah.
What is Kerry like when there's no cameras? You spent time with him in a room like this. I'm sure there's nobody but you two. What would you describe his leadership style and personality like?
A couple nights before I left for prison,
Okay.
I emailed Kerry at his private email. And I said, "Senator, I'm begging you, please help me. Ask the president to commute my sentence. The conviction would still stand, but I could work and put food on the table for my family. I had 5 kids." And he writes me back. And all he said was, "Please do not ever attempt to contact me again." That's John Kerry.
Wow. He's married to Hines, I believe, right?
He married
the ketchup factory.
Senator John Hines' widow.
The ketchup factory people from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, she was married to John Hines, who was the grandson of the founder of Heinz Ketchup.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was worth close to $1 billion. He died in a plane crash. And as soon as he died, Kerry just zeroed right in on her.
He talks about, the environment, but yet he flies his private jet all over.
When I was working for him, he bought this yacht. And it wasn't even just a yacht. It was like an ocean-going ship, right? He represented Massachusetts in the Senate.
Yeah.
And he docked the yacht in Rhode Island. Why? Because Massachusetts had a yacht tax.
Yeah.
Well, you're worth $1 billion. Just pay your
fucking taxes. Yeah.
So the press just beat him up over it, and a couple of us went to the chief of staff. We said, "This is a very bad look. Just tell him pay the tax." And so this dragged on for a couple of weeks. Finally, he just took the yacht back to Massachusetts and he paid the tax. But are all rich people that cheap? Just pay your tax.
Yeah, we have to.
He bought everybody in the office a Christmas present one time. It was Christmas of 2009, and it was a bottle of wine. And I didn't recognize the wine. And I've subscribed for 25 years to Wine Spectator magazine. I love it.
Okay.
My wife and I we built a wine cellar, a climate-controlled wine cellar in our house. We know about wine.
Yeah.
So I was like, I never saw this wine before. And I know I shouldn't have, but I Googled it.
Yeah.
It's a $10 bottle of wine. Like, really?
You're worth $1 billion. And you fucking... Did he try to say, "Oh, that's $100 bottle of wine"?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, John Brennan, how does he get to where, hey, he says charge him? How do we get there? What? He just didn't like you? You and him didn't get along?
John and I never liked each other. I met John in 1990. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. But I stayed on my side of the room and he stayed on his. It's a very long story, but the upshot is that there was a wave of retirements in 2007, 2006, where, the war on terror was going to drag on forever.
Burned out. People were burned out.
Burned out, ready to go. You've already done 30, 35 years. 9/11's 5 years behind us. Time to retire. Of the hundreds of people that retired, half of them went to the John McCain campaign. Half of them went to the Hillary Clinton campaign. John Brennan was literally the only one who went to the Barack Obama campaign.
Okay.
So he became Obama's guy. When Obama won the race, Obama initially named him CIA director, but the liberals just threw a fit. And so he withdrew that nomination and made Brennan Deputy National Security Advisor for Counterterrorism.
Because you don't need a confirmation here.
Correct. Exactly. And then 4 years later, the liberals had forgotten why they were so mad. Then he became the CIA director. But John was the most powerful national security figure in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
And so he insisted that the Justice Department prosecute me for my revelations about torture.
When you find out they're coming after you, what are you thinking? I mean, you're a patriot. I mean, and I mean that. And the CIA is, you protect us. You do. You do things that keep us safe. When I'm a kid, my children now, my wife, even me, you, there's something going on. You've been there, you've done it across the world that could really hurt the American people, and you handle it. We never hear about it, you know, and you don't get any glory. And I mean no disrespect.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
They ask you even in the application process if you're comfortable not receiving recognition for your victories. And everybody's like, yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah. So what are you thinking though? They're coming after you. You think, you know, I mean,
My head was spinning.
because you've probably never had a speeding ticket or anything in your fucking life.
Nothing.
And if you did, I'm sure you could make it go away like that.
I never did.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. But they hit me with a concrete block from the beginning. I was facing 45 years in prison.
Holy fuck.
And so, I mean, the most important conversation that you have with yourself is, should I kill myself? You know, maybe I should. 45 years? I can't. I'm 50 years old.
Your kids are grown
I'll
up.
die in prison.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Your wife's moved on and probably has somebody else. Your kids don't know you. I mean,
But my wife was such a great supporter. And I mean, 70 former CIA and FBI officers came together to support me.
no
They
kidding.
signed a letter to the president asking him to pardon me before I ever went to trial
And this is Obama.
under Obama. And I was blessed with the best attorneys in Washington.
Yes. See, and side note, so you had Plato Caceres. So once I heard of your story, well, heard who you were, and like you were on a podcast, we were watching the documentary on A&E about Monica Lewinsky, and all of a sudden I heard that name, and I'm like, what the fuck? You know, so and
Plato was
a killer, and when I mean a killer, I meant a fucking defense attorney. That guy was a shark, a fucking shark.
He was described in the Washington Post when my attorneys announced that they were representing.
Because go ahead.
It was Plato Caceres, Mark McDougall from Aiken, Gump and Strauss, and Bob.
I don't know.
What's wrong? Please, you have to edit.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Bob Trout.
Okay.
Okay, so my three lead attorneys were Plato Caceres and Bob Trout of Trout Caceres and Mark McDougall from Aiken, Gump and Strauss. Mark was the director of white collar defense at Aiken Gump, which is one of the biggest law firms in the world.
Okay.
Not just in America.
Defense law, criminal law, or only
criminal defense.
Okay. Probably, I mean, I don't know. They're probably $5,000, $10,000 an hour.
At the time, yeah, they were $2,000 an hour, which I didn't have.
Yeah.
But Plato said to me from the very beginning, this case is not about John Kiriakou. This case is far bigger than John Kiriakou. This case is about silencing every national security whistleblower in America.
Because you were before Snowden, right?
Oh, yeah. In fact, Snowden told the New York Times that I inspired him to do his whistleblowing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. His dad came to prison to visit me.
No shit.
To thank me.
Have you talked about that on a podcast at all?
I may have mentioned.
No. So you get charged, you get Plato, and I've been arrested before. Go ahead.
Well, I was facing 45 years, and then after like 10 months,
were you out on bail?
Yeah.
Okay. House arrest, bail, or any home confinement, or
No, not
no,
home confinement.
no.
Just,
Okay.
personal recognizance.
Oh, they really left you out on
Because
ROR.
they knew this was fucking
Yeah,
bullshit,
yeah,
this whole
yeah.
situation. So, after 10 months, DOJ came to us and said, take a plea to espionage, do 10 years. And I was an asshole that day. I said, I'm not doing 10 minutes. So, that was on a Monday. On Wednesday, they said 8 years, espionage.
Normally they don't come down. Normally they go up.
Wednesday or Friday, they said 5 years. Final offer. I said, forget it. And Plato said to me, I've been an attorney in this town for 52 years, and I have never seen them come down in time. And I said, why are they doing that? And he said, because they have a shit case and they know it's shit. Just like that. He said, we're going to trial. I was like, God, that is exactly what I wanted to hear. So we turned everything down. And Plato said, we tried to get him to consider the offer, but he wants to go to trial. And he wants to testify on his own behalf, which I didn't. And if he testifies, he may accidentally talk about some war crimes and crimes against humanity that he's witnessed in his 15 years at the CIA. And then they're like, okay, 3.5 years. And I said, no. And they said, best and final offer, 30 months. You do 23. I had until noon the next day to make a decision. My wife and I stayed up all night long, talking, researching. There were 2 articles in the Harvard Law Review that said the law that I was charged under should never have been passed in the first place. It was unconstitutional. So I sent the attorneys a letter. I sent the attorneys an email at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, been up all night. I'm turning down the 30 months. Let's go for trial. Bob Trout emailed me back and he said, put on a pot of coffee. We're on the way over. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. So they come to the house at 7, and it was Plato, Bob, Mark, and the top next level down lawyer. I had 11 lawyers.
No shit.
4 of them came to the house. John Hunley was his name. Awesome guy. So Plato was the first one through the door, and he gets right in my face and he says, you stupid son of a bitch, take the fucking deal. Like that.
Wow.
I said, you're the one that told me to go to trial. He said, I only said that to make your morale higher. And then Bob Trout, who is just such a lovely Southern gentleman, he kind of pulls me aside and he says, if you were my own brother, I would beg you to take this deal. And then Mark McDougall was the one who I liked and trusted all of them. I liked and trusted Mark the most. He and I just kind of connected. Totally no-nonsense guy and one of the most brilliant legal minds anywhere in America. He gets right up in my face and he's like seething with anger and he says, you know what your problem is? Your problem is you think this is about justice, and it's not about justice. It's about mitigating damage. Take the deal. And I said, Mark, if I don't take the deal and I'm convicted, what am I realistically looking at? And he said, 12 to 18 years. Take the deal. And so I took the deal.
And you're sentenced. You plead guilty, whatnot.
Yep.
Because I think you
They
said
dropped all the espionage charges because I hadn't committed espionage.
and they had hired a jury consultant, right? That told you if because of the count.
I hired
You okay? I'm sorry.
My best friend's wife, her uncle, was O.J. Simpson's jury consultant.
No kidding.
And he had also done George Zimmerman, the Trayvon Martin case.
Yeah.
He had done one of the Kennedys that had allegedly raped some woman. The guy has quite literally never lost a case. So we get him admitted as an advisor, as a legal advisor. And They give him a security clearance. He comes up, goes through the whole 15,000 pages of classified discovery. We're all meeting in the conference room at Plato Kacharis' law firm. And the jury consultant says, if we were in any other district in America, I'd say, let's go for it. We're going to win this thing. This case is shit. He said, but the Eastern District of Virginia, your jury is going to be made up of people from the CIA or with relatives at the CIA, DOD, Homeland Security, FBI, intelligence community contractors. You don't have a prayer. He said, take the deal.
I think that was a part of their strategy, DOJ, to have it in
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
And it wasn't just for me.
It was for anybody.
They charge almost everybody. Every national security.
So Snowden is turned.
He's already been charged in the Eastern District of Virginia. And Julian Assange was in the Eastern District of Virginia. And Zacharias Moussaoui, the 20th hijacker, whatever his name was. And, there are a couple of other people. They're all charged in EDVA. They call it the espionage court. Because no national security defendant has ever won a case there.
Yeah.
Never.
And you plead guilty, and what month is that?
I changed my plea in October of 2012. I was formally sentenced in January of 2012, and I reported to prison on February 28th.
So they gave you a little bit of time with your family before you went to prison.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're nervous, right? What is that time, if you don't mind talking about it, before you leave for prison?
To tell you the truth, yeah, you would think that I would be a nervous wreck. To tell you the truth, I felt a sense of relief.
That it's going to be over.
It's going to be over. And there's an end in sight. I mean, 30 months is the max. I'm going to get out at 23 months with good behavior, but I stood a chance at 6 months of home confinement, which I didn't get because they screwed me. But I thought, I could do 23 months on my head.
Yeah, you were in fucking Pakistan, some of the places
exactly.
that you can't tell us about. What you have children, and were all of them at home still?
No, my 3 youngest were still at home. My 2 oldest were in college.
How was that? Because I'm a father.
Terrible.
Even me, this tough guy. Hell, I cry sometimes leaving my kids for 5 days to go away to work. But I'm sure that was hard for you.
The hardest part was the kids were little. They were like 9, 7, and 1. And so the hardest part was trying to explain to them. So, trying to put it in kids' language. I said, I've been fighting with the FBI for a long time now. And I'm sorry to say that I lost the fight. So I'm going to have to go to Pennsylvania, and I'm going to teach bad guys how to get their high school diploma. And when I finish that, I'm going to come back, and everything's going to be good again. And they accepted that. It was hard, and it was a little confusing, but they accepted it. And then my wife would bring them up to the prison every month to visit me. And there was a sign on one of the doors that said, inmates only. And so they got seated in the visiting room, and I came through the door. And when I sat down, hugs and kisses, and they want to sit on my lap. And my 9-year-old, then 9-year-old, said, Dad, what does inmate mean? And I said, prisoner, not thinking that the sign's on the door. And he said, wait a minute, are you a teacher here, or are you a prisoner here? And I was like, I said, I'm a prisoner, buddy, but it's going to be over soon, and everything's going to be good. So that was the hardest thing.
Yeah, for sure. So you get to prison in Loretto. I guess John Brennan kind of gave you the finger there.
Yeah, in fact, at sentencing, my attorneys asked the judge to send me to the minimum security work camp. And the Justice Department said they had no objection. And she says, okay, minimum security camp. When I arrived, they put me in the prison.
How did they do that? Did they fudge the paper?
Yeah, the CIA called DOJ. Remember, the prosecutors are different from the Bureau of Prisons, and the prosecutors are different from the FBI.
Yeah.
So John Brennan just had to make a call to Eric Holder and said, fuck this guy. Put him in the actual prison.
Do me a favor, do me a solid, I owe you one.
They did.
Wow. And what was your time like in prison?
Monotonous. I was determined to use my CIA training to stay safe and at the top of the social heap, which I did very successfully. I made strategic alliances, which
Even in a low security federal prison, is it prison? Okay.
Yeah, and even with minimum, there's no such thing as club fed. I hate when people say that. It's a thing for me.
Yeah, because my uncle went to federal prison. I don't know if you know where this one. There's one out in Ohio.
Which one?
Oh my God! I knew you were going to ask me that.
Is it the one by Youngstown that's
Yes.
pedophiles?
Yeah. Well, he's not a pedophile. He stole fucking checks out of mailboxes.
Oh, okay.
But he always told me, "Hey, if you're going to go to prison, you do a federal fucking crime." Well, I mean, my family very fucked up. But anyway, and I said, "What?" He was a mechanic, and they got him a job in town or whatever. And they played softball. They actually went and fucking had like softball tournaments at other prisons.
That's minimum security.
And I said to my gram one day, and I'm like, I said, so he goes and steals checks out of mailboxes, cashes them, and he gets to go play fucking gets to go to summer camp? And she says, well, he says that's why he always, and he always said if he was going to do something to go to prison, he'd make sure it'd be in federal prison.
One of my cellmates was a guy who committed some stupid federal crime and did a year or two, whatever it was. But he was homeless in Pittsburgh. He used to live under a bridge on the Allegheny River.
Yeah.
And when the weather would turn, he would violate his probation every year, and they'd send him back for 6 months, as a violator. And he's like, 6 months, got a warm bed, got medical care, free food. I get out in the spring, do the whole thing again next year.
Yeah. So when do you start meeting mafiosos? My channel, most of my guests are former mafiosos. So when do you get introduced to the Italians and the mafia guys?
I've been there about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I got word from one of the guys that one of them wanted to see me. So I went down there, introduced myself. Couldn't have been any nicer.
Who was he?
He was from the Philadelphia family,
Okay.
the Bruno Scarfo family.
And you were eating with some Gambinos, Bananos, Genovese?
Yeah, I ended up, to make a long story short, I ended up being kind of adopted by the Italians.
Okay, yeah.
We had the boss of the Gambino family. We had the boss and underboss of the Petrarca family from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
We had the number 3 from the Bonanno family. But there were a lot of Gambinos. There were a lot of Philly guys.
Any Genovese?
Yeah, he was the boss of the Port of Newark when I first arrived. He and I used to go to church together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably, okay. And so did the CIA ever try to mess with you in prison?
Yeah, they did.
Really?
Yeah. Mark McDougall, one of my attorneys that I mentioned a moment ago, he warned me that this was going to happen. He pulled me aside right before I left for prison. And he said, listen, they're really pissed off that you have such a short sentence. And they're going to try to set you up, and they're going to add charges. So be very, very careful. I was like, okay. All right. So I kind of filed it in the back of my head. One day, I'm in my cell, and there was an Afghan-American guy. He was a pharmacist, but he had an oxy problem. So he was doing 6 years. Nice guy. So he comes up to me, goes, hey, John, there's a new guy who wants to meet you. I said, oh, yeah? He said, yeah, he's the spokesman for the Taliban. And I said, that guy from New Jersey? And he said, yeah. I said, I've read about that guy. He's a rat. That's how he got such a sweetheart sentence. He ratted out everybody. He was the Taliban spokesman in the United States.
Okay.
I said, no, I'm not interested in meeting him. And he goes, oh, okay, I'll tell him. So another couple of days pass. I happen to be out in the yard, just walking around the track. And here's this guy walking right toward me, beard down to his waist. He's got his hand out like this. And I went like this. And I said, don't fucking touch me. Like that. And as I'm looking at him, I happen to look to the side of him. And one of the guards is on the outside of the fence with a camera with a long distance lens going. So I had my hands up and I said, don't fucking touch me. And don't ever try to speak to me. He said, come on, man, we have a lot in common. I said, we have nothing in common other than I tried to kill people like you. Get the fuck away from me. And he's like, oh, come on, come on. And then finally he walked away. And then the guard had nothing. Nothing to send back to the CIA or DOJ.
So you get out. What's it like? What was your first couple of days reacclimating back into?
Well, that's a problem. People think that you can just step back into your
Fuck
life
no.
again.
I mean, I've never done it, had to do it, but there's no way.
No.
You are a character, I'm sure, of a creature by habit, by routine.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your routine changed drastically from home life to prison, and now you're back in home life. I'm sure it took a while to get readapted.
I had a couple of months of 3 months of house arrest, which means you cannot leave the confines of the four walls of your house.
Seriously.
You can't go in the front yard or the backyard or the stoop. Inside the house, you go crazy.
That's worse than fucking
It
prison,
was
right?
way worse than prison. Way worse. And then they call you quite literally 24 hours a day to give your name, your prisoner number, and your social security number. Because they want to make sure that you haven't left. So, on top of that, you got to go into this fucking, what do you call it? The halfway house and check in once a week and then drug testing twice a week. I've never taken a drug in my life. I'm happy to waste as much of your time and the government's money as I possibly can, but you're wasting my time too. So it was very difficult to transition back to home life. Very difficult. But the bigger problem for me was I just couldn't find a job. Nobody is willing to hire a convicted felon.
Nobody.
And so, I briefly worked for a think tank in Washington just doing criminal justice issues.
What is a think tank?
It's a group of academics that, writes papers and gives briefings about the issues of the day. And I did that for about a year, and then I just realized this just isn't going to work. I'm going to have to work for myself. And then I ended up getting an offer for a radio show. I took that. I did the radio show for 7 years. And then that led to podcast after podcast after podcast, which led to my own TV show. And now I've been out of prison for 13 years. Is that right? No. 11 years. Yes, I've been out for 11 years. And I have my own successful podcast. I have my own successful TV show. I write columns. I just finished writing my 9th book. And I made the right decision to just work for myself.
Yeah.
That's really the only way you can succeed.
Yeah. How much longer you got, bud?
It's kind of late. It's almost 10.
Yeah.
And I got to catch that early flight to LA.
You tell me. I mean.
Yeah. Can we wrap it up?
Yeah. So now that you're doing your podcast, and you sat down and spoke with me, where can people find you?
Oh, thanks for asking. So I've got a website, johnkiriakou.com, but where I post most everything. I mean, I'm on Facebook and X and LinkedIn and Instagram and all that stuff. But I've got a podcast called Deep Focus that's on YouTube. I have one every day called Deprogram, Monday through Friday, that's on YouTube and Rumble. And one on Apple Podcasts called John Kiriakou's Dead Drop, which goes into granular detail about my whole life in the CIA.
Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.